Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is currently 12:09 a.m. and today's date is the 27th of September 2024. Yes, yes, y'all, we are back. We are back, like we never left. How are you doing this beautiful midnight? Some people say it is morning, some people say it's midnight. Shoot. Whatever you think it is, it is. All right. How are you doing? How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in one more time. I want to say thank you to everybody for always checking in, always trying to see what time it is. Always being a part of the live show. Without you guys, there is no live stream. All right. Uh Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. And today we are going to be watching the 45th. Some people say he might be the 47th. He had a press briefing. Well, he held a press briefing in Trump Tower today. He was at Trump Tower today and he had a press briefing. So we're gonna see that. Hopefully we're able to watch that. And yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I also feel like well, I don't feel like I think he also spoke about Kamala Harris going to the border today. Um, and then obviously, he's campaigning, he's going through his whole journey towards the election day, which is November 5th. Hopefully, he comes out victorious. Um, Republicans want him to come out victorious. Some Democrat wants him to come out victorious. Some independent want him to come out victorious too. So, do you think it might be the 47th? Do you think the 45th might be the 47th? I don't know. Shout out to Michael Lakota. It says it's only 11 p.m. here in Wisconsin. Shout out to Michael Lakota. You know what time it is. All right, without further ado, without further delay, we would go straight into business. Let's get it.
Well, thank you very much for being here. Hope you can hear me. Thank you very much, everybody. For nearly 4 years, we have been living through the worst border crisis in the history of the world. There's never been anything like it, which has brought untold suffering, misery, and death upon our land. The architect of this destruction is Kamala Harris. When you look at the 4 years that have taken
Straight to the
place
point. Straight to the point,
after
OG.
being named border czar, Kamala Harris will be visiting the southern border that she has completely destroyed, from what I understand, tomorrow. Why would she go to the border now, playing right into the hand of her opponent? I mean, you take a look at this. Why would you do that? There can be no justification for what she's done. There's nobody saying, oh, gee, she's done a fabulous job. She's done the worst job probably in the history of any border, not just our border. She keeps talking about how she supposedly wants to fix the border. We would merely ask, why didn't she do it 4 years ago? It's a very simple question. I can say this with everything she has, she talks about borders and taxes and all these different things. Her policies on tax, by the way, are terrible, but I can say it for everything. Why didn't she fix it almost 4 years ago? She's got no plans, got no talent, got no ability to do it. I'm here today to present you with the facts and only the facts about how Comrade Kamala Harris willfully threw open our border, helping to virtually destroy our country. Our country's never been under siege like this. 4 years ago, Kamala inherited the most secure border in U.S. history with the lowest illegal immigration on record. You know the chart. I love that chart. I love that chart. I probably wouldn't be here right now except for that chart. Those who violated our borders were captured, detained, and quickly sent back home under the Trump administration. But on her first day in office, Kamala Harris terminated every single Trump policy that sealed and secured the border. She ordered an immediate stop to the completion of the border wall. It was almost complete. We built hundreds and hundreds of miles of wall, and it worked. I always said walls and wheels. Everything else is obsolete, but walls and wheels, and this wall worked. And we were ready to build and throw up another 200. Could have been done within weeks. Everything was complete. The wall was all built, ready to go, laying there, ready to be fixed. All they had to do is throw it up, and you would have had an extra 200 miles of wall, far more than I promised in the election. She suspended all deportations. She instituted catch and release across the entire southern border. And we had catch and release also, but we released in Mexico. Her catch and release was to release in the United States and never see them again. She sent Congress a bill demanding amnesty for all illegal aliens, every single illegal alien, even if they're criminals, even if they're murderers, even if they're drug dealers, human traffickers. She wanted amnesty for everybody. Radical left. This is a radical left person. She terminated Remain in Mexico, something that took me and a lot of talent, a lot of other people, but it took a lot of talent to get from the president of Mexico, a good man. But we got it. You had to remain in Mexico. You couldn't come in under any circumstance. You weren't allowed into the United States until we checked it out, and many people did not come in and were not allowed to come in because they didn't check out. They were drug dealers. They were gang members. They were in jail for murder in a couple of cases. We wouldn't let them in. And she canceled every Safe Third agreement. Anybody here, I think, would know what that is, but that was a horrible thing that she did. And she canceled Remain in Mexico. Here we have something, Remain in Mexico. You don't have to explain it. She canceled. She ordered ICE to halt the removal of virtually all criminal aliens, including MS-13 gang members, the worst gang anywhere in the world, they say. Evil, evil gang. She ended all of our programs that we instituted to stop child and woman trafficking. The trafficking is at a level now that it's never been before. I had it down to the lowest level it's been in 32 years because we had such a strong border. They couldn't get through. But now it's the worst it's been in 32 years plus. And then she lost, and this is probably the worst statistic of them all, 325,000 children. Think of that. 3.5 years. She lost 325,000 children. And they're either dead, being sold into sex slavery, or just plain missing. Think of the number, 325,000. If that were a Republican instead of her, and she was the border czar, She says, well, I wasn't the border czar. She was. And tomorrow she'll make a case that, oh, she did a fairly good job. You can't say much. You can't justify it. She should save her airfare. She should go back to the White House and tell the president to close the border. He can do it with the signing of just a signature on a piece of paper to the Border Patrol. Instead, she's going there to try and convince people that she wasn't as bad as everybody knows she was. She was the worst in history. Grossly incompetent, weak, and ineffective. And all you have to do is ask Brandon Judd, Border Patrol. You could ask any of them. Tom Homan. We had the best people that we've ever had, and they said Trump was the best president on the border ever. She ripped up every single reform that we put in place to stop asylum fraud. She ended a travel ban that was unbelievably successful. We had the strongest travel ban anywhere in the world, and it was upheld by the United States Supreme Court. She canceled Title 42. That was a medical title. She canceled it, very hard to get. And altogether, she took 93 executive orders that I put on, all which made the border the best border we've ever had in recorded history. And she terminated them along with Joe Biden, the worst administration in the history of our country. And on the border, it's not even close. Because of these acts, in less than 4 years, 21 million illegal aliens at least. That's the real number. You don't hear that. You hear 15, 16. Sometimes you hear 17. The number is at least 21 million. And on top of that, you have gotaways. That's gotaways. That's people that came over or got away. And they've stormed across our border like nobody in history on any border anywhere in the world. There's never been any border in history where you had millions of people storming us like that. No third world country would allow it. But she allowed it because she's incompetent. She allowed it because she never went there. She says she went once, but it was not the right location. It was a location that was very mild and no danger. She never went there. She's going there tomorrow after almost 4 years. She's going there tomorrow to try and show you what a great job she did. But even now, the numbers are terrible. And remember, they're flying people over, and they haven't stopped that. They're flying hundreds of thousands of people over the border right now. They never stopped that. They didn't think they'd be caught, but they were 2 weeks ago. From prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylum. All these insane asylums where you have the sickest people, mentally ill people, and terrorists at record levels. We've never had terrorists come into our country like this. They come, and they keep coming and coming, and nobody has ever seen anything like it. People that go to the border, they look professionals, and they said there's never been anything like this in the history of the world, and they are destroying the fabric of our country. She did nothing to stop any of it. In fact, she encouraged them to keep coming, and you know that. For years she did. Only recently did she say, oh, well, we're going to try and put a stop to it. And I ask again, this should be the why didn't she do it speech. Why didn't she do it? All of these things, including unrelated elements to what we're talking about now, like taxes, like military, like so many other things. Why didn't she do it? She's got plans for the future. Why didn't she do it? She's been there almost 4 years. Kamala created a brand new program to fly in migrants from Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua and resettle them in American communities, including small towns all across our nation, but in particular in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. Nobody can believe it. These towns have been destroyed, and the mayors of the towns and the governors of the states can't talk about it because they're embarrassed that they allowed it to happen. in addition, through her phone app, something totally new now. It's a phone app for migrants, where migrants call in, highly sophisticated migrants. She's allowed virtually unlimited numbers of illegals to press a button, schedule their illegal immigration appointment at our ports of entry, and show up to be released into the interior of our country. Can anybody believe this? And they're invading our towns. It's an invasion of our country like no country has ever had to suffer before. And this was purposeful. They did this on purpose. This was not a mistake on their part. They did this on purpose because their policies are so wrong and so evil and so unfair. And there's only three reasons they want to do that. Number one, they're incompetent. And I'm not sure that that's the reason. Number two, they want it for the votes. And number three, you know what that one is. We don't have to talk about that one. But there can only be a very few reasons, because they're destroying our country at a level that's never been seen before. Importantly, as part of this con job, it's a con job. None of the illegal aliens she is smuggling in through the ports or on the airplanes. Think of it. Big jet planes loaded up with migrants flying into the middle of our country and going to Iowa and lots of other states. They've all become border states. We only have border states now. But they're counted in the Border Patrol statistics. And when you do that, you can add a lot of numbers because they're not taking those counts. They want to have those counts not included in the numbers. In Aurora, Colorado, Springfield, Ohio, where it's been a mass invasion. These were two beautiful, successful towns, idyllic. And they're in trouble, big trouble. And very unfair. The people want to leave. They want to get out. But everyone's afraid to say, I want to get out, because they want to be politically correct. And other towns just like them, hundreds of them all over America. Americans have watched their communities destroyed by this sudden, suffocating inundation of illegal aliens. It's an inundation. It's an invasion. This influx has overwhelmed our schools. They're taking the seats of students that can no longer go there, and they don't even speak English. They're trying to fire a lot of people and hire interpreters. Can you believe that? They want to get rid of some people. They want to hire. Springfield is looking, the mayor said it the other day, looking for interpreters because nobody in all of the 32,000 people that took into the town, think of this, you have a town of 50,000 people, and almost instantly you have 32,000 people, in this case from Haiti. Most of them don't speak English, so they're looking for interpreters. You have to get them out. We have to save our country. You have to save these towns. They flooded the job market with low-wage migrants, but many cases migrants that also have horrible criminal records, murder, drug dealing, so many different things, a lot of human traffickers, and it's mostly human traffickers in women. Last month, American-born workers lost 1.3 million jobs. This is last month. You know, when they lowered the interest rates, they weren't doing it necessarily just for political. Our economy is terrible, especially when you add inflation into it. Inflation has destroyed our middle class. It's destroyed our senior citizens. And all of these people coming in are horrible for the black population and the Hispanic population. They're taking the jobs of the black population at levels that they've never seen before. Hispanic also, they're suffering, and the families are suffering. They go out, they think they have a job, and they've lost a job to an illegal migrant. So we've lost 1.3 million jobs last month. Think of that. And now we've gained, out of that number, 635,000 jobs. But every single one of them was an illegal migrant. They've also, as you know, and you've heard me talk about it, just happened very recently, we found out, 818,000 jobs were fraud. They fraudulently claimed that the economy picked up 818,000 more jobs than they stated. And a whistleblower or leaker let it be known that that was false, that the 818,000 jobs was a false fraud. It was a fraud. It should be investigated, by the way. But Biden knew about it, and Kamala knew about it, and they were going to release the real figures right after the election. But by putting 818,000 phony, fake, disgusting jobs that don't exist, by putting them on the rolls, it made them look much better a short while ago, but they didn't quite make it to past election day. So to that whistleblower or leaker, I want to, on behalf of the American public, thank you very much. These people are a fraud, just like nobody talks about it, but Kamala never had a job. Resume talks about McDonald's. When I worked at the French fry counter, it was so tough, so hot. She didn't work there. She never worked at McDonald's. It was a lie. Most heartbreaking of all is Kamala's migrant invasion has brought massive crime into our country at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We've never seen levels like this. And during the debate, I mentioned that, and David Muir, a real lightweight, whose ratings have gone way down, by the way, because he lost credibility. I had 1 against 3, but I think we did great. But David Muir of ABC, fake news, when I said that crime is way up in our country, he corrected me. He corrected me on so much, and it was right what I said. He didn't correct her one time, and what she said was wrong. Absolutely wrong. So many different, Charlottesville, she was wrong. All of the different things, almost everything she said, and she was never corrected. But he corrected me in crime. He said, no, crime has not gone up. I said, crime has gone up massively. He said, I'd like to state for the record that crime has not gone up. Now, you don't know this, but we had a deal with ABC that there will be no corrections of any kind, and they violated the deal. Why? Because they're bad people and they're fake news. So he did it many times to me during the debate. He violated the deal. That's the deal. Because you can take anything and try and make up stories with it. We had a deal where that wouldn't happen. You could do whatever you wanted as soon as the debate was over. But he did it in total violation of what our agreement was. And a lot of people standing right over there will tell you exactly what it was. We'll show you what it was. David Muir has lost all credibility. The other person, I never heard of her. I never want to hear of her. She was terrible. I don't know how she ever got her job in the first place. But we have a country to save, and we can't have fake news like that. And his ratings deserve to go down. Here in New York City, an estimated 75% of arrests in Midtown Manhattan and over 60% of arrests in Queens are now illegal aliens. They've given you the fake stories that the illegals coming into the country are much better than our people. They don't commit crimes. These are some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world. And they don't just come from South America. They come from all over the world. The Congo in Africa, a lot of them coming from the Congo. The Middle East, Asia. They do come from South America, but not all. They're coming from all over the world, and they're emptying out their jails, and they're emptying out their mental institutions. The money they're saving is beyond belief, and what they're doing to our country. And if I were the president of one of those countries, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd say, let's empty out our jails into the United States. We're dumping ground for the rest of the world, and it's going to stop starting on January 20th. But the most important day in the history of our country is going to be November 5th, Election Day. 3 months ago in Queens, an illegal alien released into our country by Border Czar Harris approached two 13-year-old children with a machete in broad daylight, forced them into the woods, tied them together by the wrists, and raped the young girl, hurt the girls very, very badly. They caught him because he put it on tape. He put it on film. They caught him. He thought it would be nice to have it on tape to show his friends. In June, 2 NYPD officers were shot at point-blank range by an illegal migrant from Venezuela. By the way, the crime rate in Venezuela is down to the lowest level it's ever been that they know of, because they've taken their street gangs, they've taken their criminals off the streets, they've taken their drug dealers, and they've emptied their jails almost. They'll be emptied very soon, within the next 2 months. I guess they can't get enough buses. But they're bringing people at record levels to our country. These are criminals, and their crime rate is the lowest it's been ever that anybody can remember. Caracas has become a safe and wonderful city, unlike our cities that are getting worse and worse with this horrible invasion that Kamala, in particular, because I'm no fan of Biden. He's been a terrible president, doesn't know what he's doing, and he proved that during the debate. But you know what? He assigned her the job, and whether you call her a border czar or just say that she was put in charge of the border, doesn't make any difference. Same thing. She's done a horrible job, and she'll be out there tomorrow standing probably in front of the wall that I built, trying to say what a wonderful job she did, and the fake news will believe her because that's what they want to do. But she didn't, and I hope everybody out there understands that. The Border Patrol custody was incredible, and I have to say that Border Patrol has done an amazing job under the circumstances. And you heard Tom Homan many times say there was never anywhere near anybody as good as President Trump when it came to all of the things that we're talking about, the border, crime on the border. And he said there wasn't anybody even close as president. In Albany last May, an illegal alien who was caught and released by Kamala Harris stalked and raped a 15-year-old girl, driving up behind her, abducting her by force with a metal pipe, and raping her again and again, over and over, and hurting her very badly. In Indiana this June, a woman was kidnapped by two illegal aliens, brought to a house, held down and raped, and then forced into the back of a car while illegals drove around talking about how to kill her. Let's find out how to kill her. She threw herself out of the moving vehicle, was badly hurt, but escaped, and she said, "They didn't mean to rape me, they meant to kill me." That was her statement. Earlier this year, an illegal migrant from Haiti granted entry by Kamala and her horrible policies, and in particular her phone app, which nobody can even believe exists. And the people that deal with the phone app are the cartel heads, if you can believe this. They're actually put there, I believe, for the heads of the cartels.
Sad,
and they call it, and they tell you exactly where to illegally bring the people that they've, in many cases, abducted. The phone app, I hope the press looks into that. Brutally stabbed this woman to death. Two people in suburban Middletown, New York, are looking at this with a life that will always be shattered. It'll be shattered and can never be the same. The brutality was unbelievable. And despite all of this, Kamala Harris intends to stand before the American people tomorrow and lie. She's going to lie just like she did about her job at McDonald's, just like she did about the 818,000 jobs that they created that were fake jobs. They didn't exist. It's a fraud. And there's nothing nice about what I'm saying. Our country's in trouble. And we need people that know how to take care of our country and take care of our border. Without borders
The
and without
McDonald's.
fair elections, we have no country. She wants to pretend that
Man, double tap
she
your
had a
screen,
secure
subscribe to the
border.
channel. Let's get it.
But all you have to do is look at the numbers. The worst border anywhere, probably anywhere in the world. There's never been a border like this. A third world country would have used sticks and stones to get people out. They wouldn't let millions and millions of people invade. But if that were true, and if she were going to announce tomorrow that she's going to do something about it, why hasn't she done it? And why didn't she do it almost 4 years ago? All of these things she could have done 4 years ago. You will hear Kamala claim that the reason the border is not secure is that Congress has refused to pass her atrocious border bill. It's the worst bill you've ever seen. It would allow people to come in here at levels that would be incredible and would allow them to get citizenship. But it was not a border bill. It was an amnesty bill. And they duped a couple of people that shouldn't have been duped. It would give her the power to put all
That's the
newly
facts. Why
entering
hasn't
illegal
she done
aliens
it?
on a fast track to
That's the
citizenship.
question.
It would enshrine and expand catch and release, permanent feature of federal laws that are absolutely unacceptable. She keeps talking about this law that they tried to put through Congress, but fortunately Congress was too smart for it. It would have been a disaster. It would have established a minimum number of illegal aliens who must be important because 2 million people per year at a minimum would have been under this ridiculous bill, would have been allowed into our country. 2 million people. Now, of course, that's peanuts compared to what's coming in now and what's coming in when the damage was really done. Look, the damage was done. They're trying to make it look better now. But the damage was done over the first 3 years. They're trying to do anything to make it look better because it doesn't poll very well for them, but it polls very well for me. I think I won the election in 2016 because of the border. I fixed the border. I couldn't even talk about the border. My people would say, sir, nobody's listening. You fixed it. Nobody cares in 2020. Then I got millions of more votes in 2020 than I got in 2016, the most votes of any sitting president in history by far. But I couldn't talk about the border because I fixed it. I fixed it. It was great. But now we can talk about the border because this border, they unfixed it. This border is the worst border. And by the way, 25 times worse and more deadly than the border in 2016. That was considered a good border by compared to this. But it would provide illegal, the bill, alien taxpayer-funded lawyers. Every illegal alien would have a taxpayer-funded lawyer. This is the bill that she said she wants. And funnel millions of dollars of left-wing organizations, people, to come into our country. It would enable human trafficking. And by the way, she also wanted to have transgender operations for illegal migrants that were in detention. Now think of that. She also wanted, as you know, to defund the police. She wants to defund the police. She was one of the leaders in the defund the police movement, and that lasted for years. And anybody that wants to defund the police for one day should never have the right to be president of the United States. And she was one of the leaders in that movement. But think of that. She wants to give sex change operations to people in detention that came in illegally and are classified as illegal migrants. If they want a sex change operation, she said, that's okay, we'll do that. The only way to secure our border is to fire radical border czar, Kamala Harris, this November. Look, we talk about the border. She's been just as bad on everything else. We have the worst inflation, I think, in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but that's pretty bad, too. But I think the actual number of years is, I think it brings it out to the worst ever. Kamala Harris endorsed abolishing ICE. She is seen as a down with deportations, opportunist, but people don't realize that the people of this country want deportations of those criminals. They want the murderers out. They want the drug dealers out. They want everybody out who's going to hurt them. They want to have a safe country. As I said, before being interrupted by lightweight anchor David Muir, crime is massively up in our country. It's very lucky the Department of Justice released numbers right after that debate. Somebody in there might like me, but they released numbers, giving the real numbers, and the numbers were unbelievably, shockingly high, the highest ever.
Lightweight, bro.
And I haven't gotten an apology. I want an apology from ABC. She supports free taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens, and even, as I said, some of the horrible things that she's willing to do, including the sex change operations for people in detention. She called for abolishing immigration detention centers. She wants to have detention centers, but detention centers that you can get out of. Remember when in 2014 Obama built cages and the fake news tried to say, I built them. Fortunately, we had a great American that said, no, these were built during the Obama administration, and Biden knew about it, but I don't think Biden knows too much. And we have one other thing that she's called. She's called the grandmother of sanctuary cities. I'm going to terminate all sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are sanctuary for criminals. They're sanctuaries for criminals. And, you know, you can go to California where she ruined San Francisco. She destroyed.
Gosh.
San Francisco may have been the greatest city in the world 16, 18 years ago. And now it's a practically unlivable place. And I hate to say that. I have property in San Francisco. It's not a good thing to say, but this far supersedes my ownership of property. It's an unlivable place. It was the best city. Bob Tisch of Lowe's, friend of mine, great guy, wonderful man. He was in San Francisco. He was in Chicago.
Facts.
He had big businesses all over, the Tisch family. Bob Tisch used to tell me that he thinks San Francisco is the greatest city in the country. He passed away quite a while ago. And San Francisco probably was, and now it's not even livable. She destroyed it when she was the DA, and she destroyed the state of California along with Gavin Newsom. She destroyed the state of California when she was the AG. If you can't say the phrase illegal alien, she said, then we can't trust you to secure the border. She said, you're not allowed to say the phrase under any circumstance illegal alien, but that's what they are. And it's that simple. She didn't want you to use that term. If you used that term, you'd be fired. And by the way, she fired everybody in a row. She couldn't get along with anybody. You know, it's interesting. 5 months ago, she was considered the worst vice president in history. She was laughed at, scoffed at for 3 years. She was the worst. Her staff hated her beyond belief. They were quitting. She had almost nobody wanted to work there. She couldn't get people to work for her. And she was just considered as bad as it gets.
Another facts right there.
And she wasn't going to be chosen. No way that she was going to be chosen to replace Joe Biden. We had the debate. After the debate, they said, oh, this guy, we got to change him. I think we were up 21 points. But they went in there, and everyone knows they threatened the 25th Amendment. They threatened him with the 25th Amendment. They said, Joe, you're going to get out. And Nancy Pelosi led the charge. And Nancy Pelosi has a little problem because her husband sold their Visa stock. They had a lot of Visa stock one day before Visa was announced that Visa is being sued by the Department of Justice. Think of that. Nancy Pelosi sold vast amounts of Visa stock one day before the big lawsuit that we all read about a few days ago was brought against Visa. You think it was luck? I don't think. She should be prosecuted. Nancy Pelosi should be prosecuted for that. And she should also be prosecuted
He's been
for
doing all those
J6
stuff. We
because
gonna
she
have to look
turned
into the
down
OG.
10,000 or any number she wanted, soldiers or National Guard. And I hope you all read John Solomon and what John Solomon wrote 2 days ago, because if you read it, you'd see that Donald Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. It's a scam. It's a scam. On day one of my new administration, I will stop all migrant flights immediately. They should stop them tonight. She can do that. Just sign one little page saying stop the migrant flights. But she won't do that. They're infecting our country. They're destroying our country. I will shut down all entries through the migrant phone app, something that most of you haven't even heard of, but it's very active and taking in thousands and thousands of people a week. I will end catch and release, and I will remain in Mexico. I'm going to tell Mexico, thank you very much. You're putting it back right away. You're putting it back, and they will do it too when I tell them. I will bring back Title 42. I will send a federal law enforcement, large group of people, but a tough group of people, to liberate Aurora, Colorado. The governor of Colorado is petrified of these gangs. These are Venezuelan gangs with equipment better than our military has, going in with guns. The
All right,
governor
people,
of
double tap your screen,
Colorado is a
subscribe to the
coward.
channel. Let's get it. Let's
He's
go,
afraid to do
Let's
what you
get
have
it.
to do. And every other town that has been taken over by the migrant gangs and criminal alien thugs. And I think I'll go to a governor, Newsom, or others that are governors wanting it. Nobody knows why. But the people don't want them. You can go and ask the people of California, do you want sanctuary cities? The people, including Democrats, will say, we don't want them. We will seal the border. We will stop the invasion, and we will begin the largest deportation of criminals, the criminal element, which is a large portion. We will start that immediately. Dwight Eisenhower had the largest deportation effort ever in our country, President Eisenhower, because he hated the fact that people were able to pour across our border. This will be much larger than that, but we will get rid of the drug dealers. We will get rid of the human traffickers. We will get rid of the murderers, the people that came out of jails, and the people that came out of mental institutions. They will all be gone, and it'll happen very quickly. We'll be dealing with local law enforcement who knows everything about every one of them. Their name, their serial number, they know everything. We respect our police, and we're going to respect law and order again. So I appreciate everybody being here. I just wanted to make this statement before Kamala goes down to the border. Anything she says tomorrow, you know, is a fraud, because she was the worst in history at protecting our country. So she'll try and make herself look a little bit better, but it's not possible. Normally, I would save this speech till after she leaves, but there's not a thing she can say to make it change. As you know, President Zelensky is asked to meet with me, and I will be meeting with him tomorrow morning at around 9:45 in Trump Tower. And it's a shame what's happening in Ukraine. So many deaths, so much destruction. It's a horrible thing. And one of the things that are very bothersome to me is the fact that Europe is paying only a small fraction of the money that the United States of America is paying. And we have an ocean between Russia and ourselves. They don't. So I see what's happening there. It's very, very sad. But we're in for numbers that nobody can even believe. And as you know, the European nations, as a combination, their economy is fairly close to the size of ours. So it's similar. They should be equalizing. They should start paying up. I did this with NATO. I made them all pay. Bush would make a speech and leave. Obama would make a speech and leave. And I said, you got to pay. If you don't pay, we're not going to be there. And everybody paid. And the Secretary General, good man, he said, I've never seen anything like it. For 10 years, we've been trying to get them to pay, and it was only Trump that was able to do it. He was very honest. It's true. That's where they have the money to do what they're doing right now. But they all paid, most of them anyway, hundreds of billions of dollars they paid, and they paid it fast. They said, sir, does that mean you won't protect us if we don't pay? I said, you mean you're delinquent? Yes, let's say we're delinquent. No, you won't be protected. The money came pouring in. Nobody else wanted to say that, and the press thought it was terrible that I made that statement. But if I didn't make that statement, we'd still be paying. You know, we were paying for NATO, most of it, almost all of it, maybe all of it for years. So I'm going to see President Zelensky tomorrow, and thank you all very much. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the mayor well, but he's been fairly generous to me in his statements for a while. I thought you had the worst mayor ever that we had prior to him. I will say this. I watched about a year ago when he talked about how the illegal migrants are hurting our city and the federal government should pay us and we shouldn't have to take them. And I said, you know what? He'll be indicted within a year. And I was exactly right, because that's what we have. We have people that use the Justice Department and the FBI at levels that have never been seen before. So I wish him luck. I don't know anything about what he did, but I told a lot of people right over there, that group was saying, you know, sir, you were right about that. When they mentioned that, I said, they came in and he was pretty strong about it. He said, this is really unfair to make us carry this burden. We shouldn't be doing this. This is New York City. I mean, your parks are loaded up. I just passed recently Madison Avenue, the Roosevelt Hotel. It's like nobody would recognize it. That's Midtown. But he came out very strongly against it. He was right, by the way, because it's ruining our country. He was honest. And I said, he will be indicted within a year, and that's what happened. And I noticed the indictment's very old. It goes back a long time. Well, I had the same thing. They went way before the statute of limitations. So I wish him well, but I said that he will be indicted because he did that. You take a look. That's what they do. These are dirty players. These are bad people. They cheat, and they do anything necessary. These are bad people. And we need an honest Justice Department. We need an honest FBI, and we need it fast. Yeah.
Keir Starmer, the UK Premier.
Yes, he's coming tonight.
What do you think of him?
Thank you for tuning in one more time. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel.
In an hour, so I have to be nice, right? Yeah. But I actually think he's very nice. I think he ran a great race. He did very well. It's very early, but he's popular, and I'll be seeing him, and I'll send you regards. Who are you with? Who are you with?
I'm with GB News in the UK.
Okay, good.
Would you rather Nigel Farage had a bigger role?
Well, I think Nigel is great. I mean, I've known him for a long time. He had a great election, too. He picked up a lot of seats, more seats than he was allowed to have, actually. They acknowledge that he won, but for some reason you have a very strange system over there. You might win him, but you don't get him. Nigel is a fantastic person.
Mr. President. President Zelensky said that you do not understand what it takes to win this war.
Oh, then I should immediately cancel my appointment. No, he knows. He knows I understand. Look. I hate to see the carnage. If I were president, it never would have happened. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine. Never, ever. And by the way, President Xi would have never even thought about Taiwan, which he's thinking about very seriously now, flying planes over it every single day. But President Putin would have never attacked. When I look at the horror show that's gone on, and the level of death is far greater than what is being reported. When you look at those cities, they're all knocked down, those beautiful, gorgeous golden domes, they're shattered and lying on their side, never to be replaced again. You can't ever replace that, 2,000 years old. When you look at the heritage of that really very vibrant country in so many different ways, and you see how it's been so broken. The people, so many people dead, where they have to use old soldiers, old men, and young boys because they're running out of soldiers. It's a very terrible thing. And then you see that the United States is paying for most of it, and Europe is not chipping in. And all you have to do with Europe is the same thing I did with NATO. Say you have to pay. And if you say you have to pay, they will. It's very unfair to the United States, but I look forward to seeing him tomorrow. We'll see. I do believe, I disagree with him. Well, he doesn't know me, but I disagree. But I will say this. I believe I will be able to make a deal between President Putin and President Zelensky quite quickly.
But what does that look like? What does that look like? What does that?
I don't want to tell you what that looks like.
The vice president suggested today
Quite
that
quickly.
your strategy with Ukraine amounts to surrender to Russia. How do you respond to
No,
that?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And it's not a surrender. What my strategy is to save lives. I want to save lives. Millions of people are dead. Millions more than they even think about. And it's not my fight, but it is a fight to save humanity.
Would you encourage
That is
Zelensky to give up
that is a
territory to reach
terrible,
peace?
let me explain. That is a terrible war that would have never happened. And it didn't happen. I even have Democrats. I watched them on Deface the Nation and some of the shows this weekend. And they said, well, we agree that it wouldn't have happened if Trump were president. I was very generous of them. But it would have never happened. That's what bothers me even more. There was no reason for that war to happen, but it did happen, and millions of people are dead, including soldiers from both sides.
Thank you for tuning in one more time. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Okay, so people are asking, what are you gonna do? What is the deal gonna look like? But wait, is he supposed to tell you what the deal is so everybody knows the deal? He is going to be, if he wins the 47th, he is going to be the commander in chief. So he's supposed to tell you the deal. I mean, how does that work? So he's supposed to come on stage and tell you how he's going to negotiate to end the war. Because who are you? Like, so he tells you, so you put it on TV the next day and say, Trump said he's going to. That's how people said, how are you going to take down ISIS? So you want me to tell you how I'm going to take down ISIS? But, bro. On national TV? Man, double tap your screen and subscribe to the channel, bro.
It's so sad to see it, and I'll meet with President Zelensky, and we'll see what happens, but I believe I can work that out.
Would you encourage him
It
to
would
give
have
up
been, I
territory
will
to
say
make it
this, it
happen?
would have been a lot easier to work out prior to the start. And Putin never, ever even thought about going in. And it was the apple of his eye. I knew him very well, had a very good relationship, despite the Russia, Russia, Russia hoax. It was a total hoax. But we had a very good relationship. Fortunately, otherwise we could have ended up in war over that. It's very dangerous. You know, when you make up stories like that, it's very dangerous. The laptop from hell was very dangerous. But Putin told me often, it's the apple of his eye. But I said, Vladimir, don't even think about doing it. He would have never done it. And then, of course, through stupid oil policies and energy policies where oil get up to almost
Vladimir don't even
$100 a
think
barrel,
about it.
Putin said, wow, I have a lot more money than I thought I had. And he prosecuted the war. But even if it went up, and it wouldn't have gone up like that, that's what caused inflation, that and stupid spending for the Green New Deal, which was a Green New Scam, turned out. Do you notice that they don't ever mention anything about environment anymore? What happened to the environment? They don't mention it. They don't mention that the ocean's going to rise 1/4 of an inch over the next 500 years. They don't mention it anymore. It's incredible. I will say this, though. What they should start mentioning is nuclear warming, because we're in grave danger.
The fact is, nobody wanted smoke with the OG. Nobody wanted smoke with the OG because you don't know his next move. You never know what he's going to do. You never know what he's going to say. Everybody was just on the lookout, like, okay, I don't want to get on this man's nerve because we don't know what this man is going to do. That is why he always says, and that's why people who actually believe in his policies would say he's through strength. That's why you never had anything going on in, Russia and Ukraine. Everybody was Gucci. That's why you never had anything with the Israeli people and the Palestinian people. Everybody was Gucci. That's why you had the Abrams Accord. You know what I mean? That's why you had all of these things going on during this term. Nobody wanted smoke, bro. Okay, nobody wanted smoke. And the most important question here is, are you better off now than you were 4 or 5 years ago? And if your answer is yes, then you got to tell me, what is your current mortgage rate? You got to tell me, what is your current mortgage rate and what was the mortgage rate in 2019? Okay, we ain't going to be capping. We going to have to tell ourselves the facts, bro. We ain't going to be emotional and talking based on feelings. No, we got to talk about it. Okay? We got to vote based on performance, based on policies, bro.
The world is in grave danger, and you better get smart people. During my term, I never mentioned the word nuclear, but that's the warming that you're going to have to be very careful with. And we're very close to World War III, whether it's the Middle East or that. October 7th would have never happened. Iran had no money. I guess that's probably why you hear the stories about Iran. Only a consequential president would have this happen. Only a consequential president. But Iran would have made a deal with us. It would have been a great deal for them. The only thing is they cannot have nuclear weapons. And we would have had it because Iran had no money during my administration. They were broke. And they would have made a deal and they would have been happy. And they would have had an unbelievable civilization. But it didn't work out that way because of a thing that was very sad to watch. That was the election. A very sad thing to watch.
Would you still make a deal with them now after everything that's happened? If you were reelected,
Make a deal with who? Make a deal with who?
Would you try to make a deal with Iran of some kind if you were reelected?
Sure, I would do that. Sure. I believe in getting. It doesn't matter. I have a great memory, but it's a memory that wants to serve the people. We have to make a deal because the consequences are impossible. We have to make a deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just have to make a decision, man. You got to make a decision. Most people would say what happened in 2020 was epic and this and that and this and that. But before 2020, what was the economy like? What was the economy like before 2020? That's why I said what was the mortgage rate in 2019. I didn't say what was the mortgage rate in 2020 because whatever happened in 2020. So I'm saying like in 2019, what was the economy like? What was the inflation rate like? What was the gas prices like? What was the border situation like? Did you have to think of sending billions of munitions to Ukraine? Did you have to think about stuff like that? Was that even in the news? You feel me? Like, what was the situation like before 2020? We get it. What happened in 2020? But I'm saying before 2020, what was the economy like? And if you pay bills and you own and use credit card, you definitely know what the economy was like in 2019.
Deal. And they would have had a deal. I would have said we would have had the results of the election been correct. We would have had a deal within 1 week after the election. I was prepared to get it done within 1 week after the election. They could have done that too, but they had no idea how to go about it. They could have done it because I gave them a country that wanted to make a deal. They had to. There was no money to Hamas. There was no money to Hezbollah because Iran didn't have the money. Now Iran has $300 billion. They made it all in the last. They made it all in the last 3.5 years. The sanctions came off. They made it all in the last 3.5 years. Plus, they essentially have Iraq as a subsidiary, and Iraq has $300 billion. So Iran is a very rich country. They have $600 to $650 billion, including Iraq. Iraq doesn't like it when I say that, but that's true. They're really a subsidiary because foolishly Bush wiped out. You had two forces, two powerful forces. One of those forces got wiped out. And now the other force, after 1,000 years, walks in and just essentially takes it over. So it's very sad to watch. But Iran now is a big force because they're very rich. Iran was not rich at all. Iran didn't have the money to.
Someone just said we cannot just say look at their policies. We have to actually talk about them. Absolutely. Let's talk about them. Okay, so this person has been the president before. He was the 45th. Now he's applying to be the 47th, right? When he was president, HBCU funding, opportunity zones, Abrams Accord, First Step Acts, obviously safer borders, obviously no new wars because you didn't think about Ukraine and Russia. Or did you? Were you thinking about Ukraine and Russia too? You weren't thinking about Israel and the Palestinian people. So, I mean, like, what else do I have to say? Even if it's just based on Russia and Ukraine alone, bro. Even if it's just based on world peace, bro.
Take care of the various organizations of terror. Okay.
Your leaders yesterday at the UN General Assembly came together to call for an immediate ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking at the UN tomorrow. He has refused to do that. What would you do differently to prevent the Middle East?
Well, you have to have that ended one way or the other. The world isn't going to take it. You have to have that ended, and I would think that we're getting close to a point where maybe it can end pretty soon. But you're going to have to end. That's unacceptable. The whole thing over there is unacceptable. That's another one. October 7th would have never happened. Would have never happened. Ukraine and Russia would have never happened. Think of it. Would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. Think of the world. The Afghanistan pullout in that way. We would have pulled out, but we would have pulled out with
Of course it
dignity
would
and
have
strength.
never
I'm the one that
happened,
got it
Reggie.
down to that number. But I would have kept Bagram because Bagram is this massive Air Force base that we built many, many years ago with billions and billions of dollars, the most powerful runways that can hold more load than any other runway in the world. And we walked away from it. And it wasn't Afghanistan that was the problem. We walked away from a great military base that we built to the highest specifications that was 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We are being run by Kamala, who is grossly incompetent. All you have to do is look at her interview last night, look at her interview with Oprah, look at her interview with the gentleman from Pennsylvania. All you have to do is look around and you'll see it. We had 4 years of incompetent leadership. We cannot, as a country, sustain another 4 years. Thank you very much.
We just heard the legendary, the OG, the 45th. Some people say he might be the 47th. Let me know what you think. However, I think he might be the 47th, y'all. He might be the 47th. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel, and tell me why. If you're voting for the OG Donald J. Trump, tell me why you're voting for the OG. And if you're voting for Kamala, let me know why you're voting for Kamala, man. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, because I may not know. Because we're learning from each other. We're trying to. I'm just saying, like, let me know. Let me know, man. Cause shoot, I don't know. I don't know, man. But I'm voting for Trump. You know why? I already told y'all. There wasn't all of this new situations in Ukraine and Russia. We didn't think about the Israeli people and the Palestinian people. First Step Act. First Step Act was a big deal, especially for African American, bro. HBCU funding, feel me? Opportunity zones. It's so many things he did. He also cut taxes, bro. And most people are gonna say, well, he cut taxes for big corporations. No, if you actually go check, it actually affected the middle class too. You know what I mean? Like most people, everybody. I'm not saying you should like this man. I'm just saying be truthful about his record, his performance. Nobody has to. You can, no matter what you do, you would never get the love of the people. Like, people are gonna love you, some people are not gonna love you. That's just how it works. Some people are going to hate on you, and some people are gonna like you for what you do, no matter what happens. But we are we would have a commander in chief. What kind of commander in chief would you rather have? Would you rather have a commander in chief who commands respect, who keeps you safe, who makes things affordable for you, or you just want a commander in chief that is presidential? That says how they grew up in a middle class home, or you want who is presidential? It's different. It's different. You can have you can have someone who is presidential, or you can have someone who actually produces results. Do you want someone who produces results for you, or you want someone who just talks about the results and what they can do? Because if you pay bills, talking about paying bills is different from actually paying bills. If you got kids, saying we're gonna go on summer holiday, Christmas holiday is different from actually going for those holidays. So we done talking, bro. Like, everybody's going through a lot of stuff. People are trying to pay rent. People are trying to live life, buy groceries. People are living paycheck to paycheck. Things are hard, bro. Bro, things are hard, bro. I don't even want to get no more, bro. People are going through it, bro. Man, feelings and emotions don't pay your bills. Never forget that. Your feelings and your emotions don't pay your bills, bro. It don't pay your bills. So you better wake up.
I have made clear on our 6 previous meetings and throughout Putin's brutal aggression and war against Ukraine, my support for the people of Ukraine is unwavering. I've been proud to stand with Ukraine. I will continue to stand with Ukraine, and I will work to ensure Ukraine.
Question, 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 chat. Who wins in a war? Who wins in a war? Is war better than peace, or peace is better than war? Can you answer the question for me? Because I don't even know these days. It's like people are asking Trump, who do you want to win the war? What are you saying? Your question should be, how do we stop people from dying? What do you mean? Oh, I support Ukraine. I want Ukraine to win the war. What are you saying? It should be peace. How do we negotiate peace? That should be your only conversation. Peace is the only thing. Peace, peace, peace. And stop funding this.
Prevails in this war. To be safe, secure, and prosperous, the United States must continue to fulfill our long-standing role of global leadership. We must stand with our allies and our partners. We must defend our democratic values and stand up to aggressors. And we must stand for international order, rules, and norms. Each one of these principles is at stake in Ukraine. And that is why Ukraine's fight matters to the people of America. The Ukrainian people are bravely defending their homes and their homeland, their freedom and their democracy
No, you don't.
against
No,
a
you
brutal
don't.
dictator. And the American people know well the meaning of freedom, of independence, and the importance of rule of law. These ideals are central to who we are as Americans. And some of the most important moments in our history have come when we stood up to aggressors like Putin, just as we must today. Indeed, standing with our friends and defending our ideals against tyranny has helped make America the most powerful and prosperous nation in the world. Putin's aggression is not only an attack on the people of Ukraine, it is also an attack on fundamental principles such as sovereignty and territorial integrity. International rules and norms are not some abstract notion. They provide order and stability.
Question, chat. Are you not tired of the same story every single time? Aren't you tired of the same situation every time? Someone right there is the enemy. We need to stop that person. Can we just focus on the people here that actually need help? So many homeless people, so many things that can be done here. But no, there is this person across the ocean. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Now I'm not saying don't help people. I'm not saying don't help um don't help countries or don't help your allies. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying you got to take care of home first. The home cannot be suffering and then you want to go help the people outside. Home first, bro. It's family first, bro. It's family first, bro. That's all I can say. Family first. If you got family, the first thing you do is take care of your family. First thing you do, take care of your home. Make sure you put your home in order, and then you can extend. You extend a helping hand to other people. Don't be trying to help other people when you haven't put your home in order yet. Your kids need your attention. Your wife needs your attention. Then you want to go help other people. Man, you better go home and fix your home first. Y'all gotta fix home first, bro. We gotta fix home first. That's all. Like, that's all.
in our world. They support American security and American prosperity. And when they are threatened anywhere, they are threatened everywhere. History has shown us if we allow aggressors like Putin to take land with impunity, they keep going. And Putin could set its sights on Poland, the Baltic states, and other NATO allies. We also know that other would-be aggressors around the world are watching.
One more time, double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. So someone just asked in the chat, the person said, better question, are there any policies from the Democrats that you can support? Absolutely. I think so. I think so. I think the $50,000 for startups, I think that's something I would support. You know, saying, you want to help small businesses start their business with $50,000. It's not like they're gonna give them cash. It's just it would be like a tax write-off, which it would be something nice for small businesses, especially people who are starting up businesses, people like me, people like everybody in the chat who want to start their business. That would be something that I would say I support. The only difference is how are you going to pay for it, especially if the economy isn't doing so great. If you keep sending, billions of munitions to other countries that, that could be negotiating for peace. So I like that. However, it's like, how do you, complement for that? You got to be able to complement for whatever you're trying to. If you're trying to say, okay, well, we're gonna save the small businesses money, then how do you complement for that? Somebody has to be able to, complement for that. And also, she's saying $25,000 for new home buyers. I like that too. However, it's like, wouldn't that jack up the prices on the house? I may be wrong, okay? I may be wrong. You guys may be much more knowledgeable than I am, but if you say we're gonna give $25,000 to first-time home buyers, don't you think that would only just jack up prices on the houses? Or sellers would just say, well, you're gonna get $25,000 anyway. Well, I'm just gonna jack up the price. And if you say $25,000 for new home buyers, if the mortgage rate is like 6%, 7%, what does that change anyway? If you have high mortgage rate, $25,000 ain't gonna do nothing for you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I am voting for Trump 100%. Like, I'm not here to say, oh, I don't want to tell people I'm voting for Trump. 100%, bro. I am voting for Trump. For sure, I am voting for Trump. You think I care about your opinion based on what I'm saying? Bro, I don't care about your opinion. I'm here telling you my own point of view. If you don't agree with me, fine. Vote for who you want to vote for. It is freedom, bro. I'm not here telling you to vote for Trump or telling you to vote for Kamala. No, that's not my job to do. You go get enlightened, go get some knowledge, go do your own research, vote for who you want to vote for. It is freedom, bro. You can vote for Kamala if you want to vote for Kamala. You can vote for Trump if you want to vote for Trump. It don't matter to me, bro. But I got a family that I got to take care of. I got bills that I have to pay. I see the grocery prices. Okay. I see the gas prices. I see the mortgage rates. I see the interest rate on credit cards. And if you got credit cards, you definitely see the interest rate. Man, you better double tap your screen and subscribe to the channel right now, man.
To see what happens in Ukraine. If Putin is allowed to win, they will become emboldened. And history reminds us, and history is so clear in reminding us, the United States cannot and should not isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. Isolation is not insulation. So then, the United States supports Ukraine not out of charity, but because it is in our strategic interest. We will continue to provide the security assistance Ukraine needs to succeed on the battlefield, as demonstrated by President Biden's significant announcement earlier today. I've been proud to work alongside President Biden and the 50-nation coalition we have built up to allow Ukraine to defend itself. Thanks to this coalition and the skill and the bravery of the Ukrainian people, along with your
And people keep saying, well, corporations are making record profits on raising food prices. Price gouging, she's going to make sure she put a halt on price gouging. Why wasn't there price gouging when the OG, the 45th, was the president of the United States? Or why wasn't it this high? Because nobody wanted smoke, bro. Same thing with Ukraine and Russia. None of this happened because nobody wanted smoke. You think Putin wanted smoke with Trump? Nobody wanted smoke with Trump, bro, because you don't know what he's going to do or what he's going to say. That is his superpowers, bro. His superpowers is you do not know what he's going to do, what he's going to say, who he's going to call out. Nobody is safe with that man, bro. Nobody is safe with the 45th. Some people say he might be the 47th, but no one is safe when he has the mic and he's talking. Anybody can get it, bro, and that's why people are actually voting for him. Anybody can get it when he has the mic, not trying to pander to some people. Whoever saying BS gonna get some BS with the man, bro.
your courageous leadership, President Zelensky, Ukraine has stood up to Russia's aggression, and today, Kyiv stands free and strong. President Zelensky, I am clear. Putin started this war, and he could end it tomorrow
Talking about Kyiv
if he
now.
simply withdrew his troops from Ukraine's sovereign territory. Of course, he has demonstrated no intention of doing that. Instead, he continues to assault civilian infrastructure and terrorize the people of Ukraine. In Switzerland in June, along with 90 other nations at the Ukraine Peace Conference, I told you.
My question here is, this speech right here, is it to give more money? Because what is the essence of this speech, guys? Just so I'm clear, is this speech to give out more money to Zelensky? I just want to know.
That the United States shares your vision for the end of this war, an end based on the will of the people of Ukraine and the UN Charter, and that we must work with the international community to secure a just and lasting peace. And I told world leaders there, nothing about the end of this war can be decided without Ukraine. However, in candor, I share with you, Mr. President, there are some in my country who would instead force Ukraine to give up large parts of its sovereign territory, who would demand that Ukraine accept neutrality and would require Ukraine to forego security.
By some, she's saying that the 45th is going to demand that Ukraine gives a big portion to Russia. I'm sure I guess that's what she's insinuating, I guess. But, by some, that's what it means, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. Now, Zelensky is supposed to go see Trump tomorrow or today, since it's like the 27th of September anyway. It's currently 1:35 a.m. So Zelensky is supposed to see Trump today. So it's like she's trying to make her case like, we're doing all this for you. Don't be trying to make a deal with Trump. I guess. I guess. But bro, that's what you gotta do what is good for your home, bro. Cause it's your home that is going. You better make sure you take care of your home, Zelensky.
Relationships with other nations. These proposals are the same of those of Putin. And let us be clear, they are not proposals for peace. Instead, they are proposals for surrender, which is dangerous and unacceptable. So, President Zelensky, I look forward to our discussion today, and I will continue to work with you to ensure Ukraine.
Yeah, okay. Someone said, I think it was K Gamer, someone said, peace is different from surrendering. Peace is different from surrendering. What is peace? What is peace? Peace means no more death, right? Enough is enough. What is surrendering? Surrendering would be Zelensky say, okay, Russia, come in, do what you want to do. We're not going to fight anymore. I guess that would be surrendering, right? But in between that is negotiating, bro. Negotiating. Boom, 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 boom. Just like Trump said, he ain't finna let you know what kind of deal he's gonna cut with Putin and Zelensky. You know what I mean? Like everybody has to come together. If Ukraine is an ally to the United States and United States is an ally to Ukraine, and Russia needs the United States. Can we all agree on that fact that Russia actually needs the United States? If Russia needs the United States, all you got to do is cut a deal. You need us. This is what the deal is going to be. Boom. Man, double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Let's get it.
Prevails in this conflict and remains a free, democratic, and independent nation. Welcome back again.
Thank you so much. Madam Vice President, thanks for the invitation. Happy to see you. Dear journalists, I want to especially thank you for your participation in the Peace Summit. And really, it was very important, and we remember it. The format was successful. We are preparing the second one. And now we have to end this war. We need a just peace, and we must protect our people, Ukrainian families, Ukrainian children, and everyone from Putin's civil. And we are grateful to America for supporting Ukraine all along. And we'll have an important meeting today, right after I'd talked to President Biden about the plan of victory, and I will share some details of the plan with Vice President Harris. It's crucial for us to be fully understandable and to work in a full coordination with the United States. And this morning I talked also to to the congressmen, both chambers, both parties, and I'm thankful for the bipartisan support. We believe this war can be won and just peace can be closer only with the United States. Madam Vice President, this is our, you said, seventh meeting?
Seventh.
Yes, and not last. And the third meeting, as far as I remember, the third meeting this year.
Yes.
Thank you. And I want to inform you about the latest developments on the battlefield, of course, and about Ukraine's actions in the Kursk region, on what has been achieved and the ambitions ahead. Today we have a new strong support package, as you said, and we have common view on the things that need to be done. We have to keep pressure on Russia to stop the war and to make truly lasting and just peace. It's a top priority.
I don't think somebody just asked me, said, Genesis, how much territory should Ukraine give up to Russia? That is the only way Russia will negotiate. I don't think so, bro. There's so many ways to negotiate. That's why we need someone who is a master in negotiating. When you just say, well, the only way you're gonna negotiate is with territory. No, bro. That's not even negotiation, bro. Like if you are a master, if you have leverage like the United States does, there's so many ways to negotiate. But if you're not knowledgeable, if you're not, inclined with things like um I would say, well, maybe classified informations. Well, people in power have those type of information, bro. Informations that we don't have, that there could be possible negotiations that would come to play if they actually, go deeper. You know what I mean? Like, it's more than the eye meets, bro. It's way more. But one thing is for sure, the United States is strong, and Russia actually would be better if the United States works with them. And Putin has said it multiple times. It's like we we want to work with the United States. And back when the 45th was in power, he was like, yo, we gotta, you know, stay in good standing with Russia. According to the 45th. This isn't according to me. This was according to Trump when he was president. He was like, we gotta stay in good standing with Russia. Because like it or not, when two power players come together and work together, the world is better.
For us and for other freedom-loving nations to achieve not a freezing, but real peace for us. So we need to keep sanctions against Russia strong, and we need to use the proceeds from immobilized Russian assets to protect Ukraine, our people, our cities, our front line from Russian evil. And of course, we must work hard to bring all Russian war criminals to.
Thank you for tuning in one more time. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Someone just says the United States does not have any leverage. Bro, that's massive cap, bro. I just think that's massive cap, bro. It's massive cap. It depends on who is representing the United States. Depends on the messenger, bro.
Justice. And one more thing, I want to inform Madam Vice President about the latest Russian missile and the Shahid.
The question is, who is the messenger? Who are we sending to do the negotiations, bro? Who is actually going to sit down with the people in Russia and the people in Ukraine and say, you know what? What the hell is going on? It's the messenger, bro. Who is making these deals? Who is going to make the deal? Who is the messenger? If the messenger is going in and saying, look, I don't want to hear nothing, we need to make a deal.
kids attacks against Ukrainian energy infrastructure. We need to urgently strengthen Ukraine's air defense to save thousands of lives and reduce Russian terror to zero. It's achievable. Thank you again. Thanks, America. Thanks to you, Madam Vice President. Slava Ukraine.
Thank you.
President Zelensky.
Here, we're going to go ahead.
Thank you, guys. Any comment on Eric Adams, Vice President?
All right, let's bring in CNN senior White House correspondent Kayla Tausche at the White House, who has been.
So wait. Does that mean like? I mean, I don't even know. Just so I give you guys the. I mean, does that mean like? Is that new money going in or what? Is that new money going in? Is that like? Is that all new cash going? I mean, I don't even know what's going on these days, bro. Like, jeez. I don't know. And what's up with the student loans, guys? What's up with the student loans? Did anybody get their student loan forgiven? Because I remember like Joe Biden was talking about student loans. Did the student loan get forgiven? Did any of you get your student loan forgiven? Let me know in the chat. Yo, what's going on with Eric Adams? What's going on with Eric Adams, guys? The New York mayor, bro. What's going on with Eric Adams, bro? It's getting spicy in New York now. Is this connected to? I mean, some people are gonna say, people are just going wild, bro. People are like, oh shit, DD. Let's go see what's going on with Eric Adams. Oh, before Eric Adams, let's go listen to the OG. JD Vance was in Traverse City. Listen to JD Vance. Let's listen, because I think I'm having this new liking for JD Vance because he always speaks directly to the voters and it sticks to the plan, sticks to the script. Well, I wouldn't call it a script, but it just sticks to the issues going on that affects the people.
We believe in the United States of America, and we believe in the conservative movement, in clean air, in clean water, and in a beautiful planet. Now, here's the problem, is Kamala Harris, in the name of crazy green energy scams, is shipping American manufacturing jobs to China, which, by the way, is the dirtiest economy in the entire world. So here's what we ought to do if we want to protect the American worker, but also protect the American environment. Build more in the United States of America and do it with American workers. And that's our plan, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And I don't think we can say it enough, my friends, that Kamala Harris, just one final point here, is Kamala Harris's policies lead to higher taxes for the middle class. She's explicitly promising to raise taxes on middle-class Americans, even while she's using that money to reward companies that are shipping jobs overseas. And I think she's got it exactly opposite. So here's the Donald Trump tax plan. We're going to cut taxes on American workers, and we're going to penalize companies that are shipping jobs overseas, not write them a big fat check. Now, look, a lot of you know my story, and a lot of you know where I came from. Look, I grew up in a working-class family. And so... But look, when Kamala Harris talks about her middle-class background, when the Democrats talk about how they stand for working people, they're not telling the truth. They're lying to you. And here's how we know they're lying to you. You remember back a few years ago when there were a lot of nurses, a lot of people in a lot of industries that were losing their jobs because they refused to take the COVID shot? Now, I believe if you want to take the COVID shot, take the shot. If you don't want to take the COVID shot, don't take the COVID shot. But listen, it is disgraceful for Kamala Harris to say that she stands for the American working man when she fired millions of American working men and women from their jobs for not doing what Kamala Harris would tell them to. When she shipped millions of American jobs to foreign countries in the name of the environment, even though those foreign countries do business a lot dirtier than we do. It's a scandal for her to say that she stands for the American working man when she is promising to raise taxes on working men and women all over this country, including in the state of Michigan. The president for working people in the United States of America, it's Donald J. Trump, and we're going to fight to get him back in the White House. Now, let's just talk about the human cost of her policies, and then we're going to take some questions from the media. But I want to talk about one more issue, and that's immigration. Because, man, what a nightmare the American southern border is, thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Now, you see this in small towns and big cities all across our country. What are the tolls of Kamala Harris's broken border? Kamala Harris opened the border. Remember, she promised us. She said on day one, I'm going to suspend deportations, and that's exactly what she did, and now American citizens are living with the consequences. We see this in towns like Springfield, we see it in PA, we see it in Michigan, we see it all across our country. What you see is municipal budgets that get stressed, police officers that can't do their job because they're dealing with illegal aliens. You see students that can't learn in their schools because they're flooded with children who don't even speak English. You see car accidents going up because a lot of people aren't properly licensed to drive. And you, of course, see a massive increase in crime. And you know what else you see? And this goes to the heart of why housing prices are so high, is you see a lot of people who cannot afford the cost of a house. Because when you allow foreign people who are in this country illegally to buy houses that ought by right to go to Americans, then you make it impossible for American citizens to afford the American dream of homeownership. So here's what we believe is we need common sense tax and economic policy. We need to bring back some good American manufacturing jobs to the state of Michigan. But if we want to allow American citizens to afford a home again, we've got to start by deporting the millions of illegal aliens that Kamala Harris let come into this country. Because here's the deal, when you let a bunch of people who shouldn't be in this country come here illegally, you put stresses on all the services that a lot of Americans rely on every single day. And I'm proud to run with an American president and an American presidential candidate who believes the first duty of the American president is to look out for American citizens first, and that's what we're going to do for the state of Michigan and for the whole country. Now, let me say just one final thing, and then we'll take a few questions from the reporters. So it's hard to believe, but it's been 10 days since another assassin tried to take the life of President Trump. And thank God for a quick act in Secret Service agent, and thank God for his grace, because I believe that he saved Donald Trump not just once, but twice. You know, but I had this conversation, and I had this conversation with the president about 1:45 on Sunday, the day that he was shot. And he called me. I was home with my 7-year-old son in Cincinnati, and he said, JD, they just tried to do it again. I said, they tried to do what again? And he said, well, they tried to shoot me. And I couldn't believe it. I said, my God, sir, first of all, how are you? You know, not just how are you physically, but, you know, that's a traumatic thing to happen twice in as many months. How are you doing? And honestly, I was more shook up about it than he was. And that it revealed something to me about Donald Trump's character that I want to talk about, because we can disagree on substantive issues. I think in this room we largely agree. But the most important thing is not that we agree on 100% of the issues. It's that we have a person of character and courage under fire in the Oval Office. Now, here's the thing. So I said, "Sir, how are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm doing fine. I'm kind of pissed off because I was about to make a birdie on the 6th hole and they wouldn't let me finish." And yeah, I chuckled, and it's good that he can show some humor in a tough moment. But then I realized that there's actually something insightful going on there about Donald Trump, the man. Because we know that at some point, probably many points in the next 4 years, there's going to be some crisis somewhere in the world. And it's going to become the American president's business, because everything that happens eventually falls on the desk of the United States president. And who do we want answering that phone call, my friends? That's exactly right. Is it a woman who is so afraid of the American media, the friendly media, that she won't even do an interview? Or is it the person who takes a literal bullet to the brain and stands up in defiance and stands up and says, "Fight, fight, fight"? And I should say, of course, almost took a bullet to the brain, took a bullet to the head, and stood up and said, "Fight, fight, fight." I really do think when you watch that video and his head turns so quickly, that is the grace of God. It really is an amazing thing. But look, it's not just an amazing thing, it's the response to it. Because when you show that level of calmness and coolness under pressure, what you show is that you can handle the adversity and the stress and the trauma of being in a tough situation and fighting for the American people despite it. And here's the problem with Kamala Harris. It's not just that she's wrong on the issues, my friends. It's that she doesn't have a plan. She can't even talk about her plan. And she's so terrified of the American people that she runs from the media instead of answering their questions. That is not a person we want anywhere near the Oval Office. We want Donald J. Trump, and that's exactly what we're going to fight to make happen. So, thank you. And I want to just say that this is ultimately what this election is about, is what kind of person do you want in the Oval Office when times are tough? Who do you want responding to a world crisis? Who do you want implementing common sense economic policies that he already implemented once? And the answer is Donald J. Trump, the people's president, and we got to get him elected. Thank you all. And thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Now, we'll take a few questions from the media, and then we'll have to hit the road. But I can't, unfortunately, the lights are a little bright, so I can't see you. But if you got a microphone, just shout out a question.
Hey, Senator. You came here to talk about the auto industry in Michigan. What do you see as Michigan's role in the future of the industry, whether that is predominantly gas or electric?
Well, look, I think Michigan's role in the industry is going to be the leader of the American auto industry, because it always has been, but only if we get leadership that's going to fight for Michigan auto workers instead of a person who fights to ship their jobs to China. And I think that's the most important thing. Look, we're going to have EVs. And this is the thing. Donald Trump and I are not anti-electric vehicle. We're anti-telling Americans what car they have to drive. That's what we are.
People are saying they need someone who doesn't insult
here's what's
the
so
other
crazy
party.
about Kamala
They
Harris's
both
EV
do.
policies is, on the one hand,
So you better
she's
pick one.
taxing Americans to send a lot of their money to foreign-made electric vehicles, while on the other hand, she refuses to allow America to dominate not just the manufacture of the electric vehicles, but everything that comes before it. The mining of the minerals, the manufacture of the batteries. They have made making things in the United States practically illegal, and so when they subsidize electric vehicles, they are necessarily subsidizing electric vehicles that are primarily made in China. So here's what Donald Trump and I believe. Number one, let's unshackle the industry and stop these crazy regulations that make it impossible to build things and make things in the United States of America. And number two, let's invest in Michigan and American auto workers and the products they're building. And you do that, and I really believe You're going to unleash a renaissance in manufacturing in this country, and it's going to start right here in the great state of Michigan, because you all know how to make things with your hands. We're proud of that, but we want to keep it going and build upon it. So I think Michigan's role is going to be leading this industry, but only if we stop the stupid policies of Kamala Harris and get Donald Trump back in the White House. Next question.
Question. Are you better off
Senator
now
Vance,
than you were 4 or 5 years ago?
Senator Vance, this is Peter Cobes from the Traverse City Record Eagle, our hometown newspaper. Yay and boo.
That's all right.
That's okay. We're used to it.
We're having fun. You're allowed to ask your question. They're allowed to tell you how they think about it, right?
So
That's okay. This is America.
We have
Ask your question,
a very serious shortage of affordable housing in this area.
Yes, we do.
Not just Grand Traverse County, but all over northern Michigan. Families with their kids can't stay here because they can't afford to buy a house. We can't get service workers up here because the rental is too expensive. Homes that 10 years ago cost $100,000 are selling for $800,000.
Thank you for tuning into the live show. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. The fact that people are saying it's going to be a close race. Why would it even be a close race if this current administration has actually done their job? Nobody would even be thinking about the OG, the 45th, Donald J. Trump. But now, people are saying, well, I'm going to vote for Trump. Every single poll that I've seen on X, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Trump always wins those polls. So when people say it's going to be a close race, I don't know, bro. But thank you for saying, I may be wrong, but every poll that I've seen, bro, it's like, it's not been close. It's been 70-30. But on the media, everybody's pushing that it's gonna be a close race. On the media, if you watch CNN, if you watch Fox, it's like, oh, it's a close race. But independent polls, it ain't close.
What can those people do now to address this problem, and how will you help them?
Yeah. Well, let me look there. Let me just say, one, I appreciate and I agree with the basic premise of the question, which is housing is way too expensive in this area and all over the country. And this is something that has really changed from even when I was a little kid. And look, I did not grow up in a family with a lot of money. I think a lot of you know that. A lot of you have heard my story. But look, a lot of American middle class and working class people could afford to buy a home. I had a member of my family actually said something to me very recently, and it was really sad. It kind of hit me how just unbelievably sad it is for American young people. You know, she was talking about buying a home herself, and she said, isn't it kind of crazy that when our parents were young, they could just go and work a job and raise a family and afford to buy a home? And I thought to myself, what a terrible job we're doing for our young people, that they feel like they cannot access the American dream of homeownership. But look, the answer is most immediately, it goes back to the border. And why does it go back to the border? Because every economist and every person with an ounce of common sense will tell you that if you bring in millions upon millions of people who are competing with Americans for scarce homes, it's going to shoot the price of housing through the roof. So the first thing that you've got to do to make it more affordable to buy a home in this country is to get people who shouldn't be here out of the country in the first place. And that'll create a lot of space. Now, look, that to be clear, that is not the whole solution to the problem, because you've also got to build a lot of houses. And we, unfortunately, have made it so hard on construction workers and construction businesses to build housing in the United States of America.
Yo, guys, one thing we got to agree on is there's just too many problems going on right now. There's way too many problems going on right now. We didn't have Ukraine and Russia when the OG was in office, bro. When the 45th was the president of the United States, nobody was talking about Ukraine and Russia. Nobody was talking about the Israeli people and the Palestinian people. Instead, we were talking about the Abraham Accord. Man, even if that's the only thing, yeah, I'm voting for Trump. I don't, yeah.
When we talk about regulations, I think a lot of people say, well, what do you really mean about regulations? Well, here, the two things that I'm really focused on when I criticize the regulatory regime of Kamala Harris, it's number one, they're shutting down pipelines, they're shutting down oil fields, they're shutting down natural gas rigs, they're shutting down the American energy sector. That's a disaster. You got to stop the regulations there. And by the way, that will also lower the cost of housing, because one of the reasons housing's so expensive is because the energy to build the homes has gotten so expensive thanks to Kamala Harris. But the second thing you got to do is stop making it so hard to build things. Look, think about this country. Think about the history of the United States of America. You think about, what is it that really sets us apart? We are frontiersmen. We tamed the wilderness over hundreds of years and built incredible skyscrapers and great, beautiful buildings. We are a country of builders and of makers, and Kamala Harris is trying to throw you in jail if you build without her permission. It's a joke, and we've just got to get back to making it easier for people to build things in this country that'll drive down the cost of housing and make American homeownership affordable again for Michigan.
Someone in the chat just said, well, it was going to happen regardless because the tensions have always been high. I get it. But why didn't it happen with the 45th? Why didn't anybody want smoke with the 45th? Because it was like, you never know what he's going to say. You never know what he's going to do. Everybody wanted to be on good standing with this man. And then I hear some people say, well, nobody respected Trump. Nobody respected him. What are you saying? So you mean nobody respected him, but nobody also wanted smoke with him? Doesn't that translate to respect? If you don't want smoke with me, doesn't that mean you respect me? Because you don't know what's going to happen, because you don't want me.
Next question.
Yes. Hello and welcome to Traverse City. We're glad to have you here.
It's good to be here.
I'm Jennifer Isbell with Michigan News Source, and my question is, what are you doing to prepare for the upcoming difficult debate against your opponent?
Well, look, I think the way I see the debate is very simple. It's an opportunity where for 90 minutes, Governor Walz and I are going to debate the issues that matter to the American people. And what I'm going to try to show is very simple, that the candidacy, the team of substance, the team.
Someone just said, what are you talking about? This man is a time boom. I think that's what you're saying. What would you rather have? Someone who can protect you, or someone who's going to be, jolly and merry? I have a family, okay? My duty as the man of the house is to provide and protect my family. You think my family care about feelings and emotions? And it's a ticking time bomb. As the leader of the country, as the commander in chief, your job is to provide and protect for your country. Protect your country. Nobody cares what you, bro. Nobody cares, bro. Just protect your country and provide for the people of your country. Same thing with the household. Protect your wife, protect your daughter, protect your sons, bro. That's all we care about. Provide and protect. So as long as he provided, as long as he protected the United States, man, I don't care what y'all talking about.
team that actually has a record that we're proud of instead of we're running away from, and the team that actually has a plan is the team of Trump Vance. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Is look, I think one of the fundamental differences between Kamala Harris's campaign and Donald Trump's campaign is we speak to our fellow Americans like they're citizens, because they are. Kamala Harris speaks to her fellow Americans like they're children. And so what I'm just going to try to talk about here is explicitly what we're going to do to make your life better. And here are the ways in which the current administration has made your life worse. And we're going to try to connect it to public policy, because that's what I think the American people care about. So that's my plan. So we're studying up as much as we can on the issues that matter to the American people. And I'm looking forward to it because, again, as much as the moderators may very well be biased, we'll see about that. I know they were the first time. But it's an opportunity for me to get to tell the American people how I think we can make their lives better, and how Donald Trump's policies can make them more prosperous, can make the world more peaceful, and can secure that southern border. If we do those things, we're going to win, and I believe we will.
Yo, I truly think that team is going to, bro. Team Walls is coming for sure. Team Walls is coming for sure. But this guy, JD Vance, bro. JD Vance, bro. I don't know. Because JD Vance is going to talk about the issue with Tim saying he went to and he never went. And also, Tim is going to say, well, you say the cat ladies and stuff. It is, bro, it is going to be spicy. It is going to be spicy, y'all. We're going to be streaming the debate here on October 1st. So tune in, subscribe, double tap your screen. Let's get it, man.
Next question. We'll just do a couple more here.
Okay. Welcome back to Michigan, Senator. I have a question about foreign policy. You recently detailed a plan that would end the Ukrainian war in a podcast that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called too radical. I want to give you the floor to respond to that. How do you respond to what Zelensky said, and can you detail how a Trump-Vance administration would end the war in Ukraine?
Well, look, the details for how Donald Trump is going to end the war in Ukraine is by not being weak and not being dumb, which is unfortunately something you can't say for the current administration. It's very simple. Russia didn't invade a single one of their neighbors for the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
This is the same question I have to ask chat, okay? If you're voting for Kamala, why are you voting for Kamala? What is the performance like? What is the track record like? Also, same thing if you're voting for Trump. Why are you voting for Trump? What is his performance like? Let me know. Just put it in the chat. And I don't want to hear, well, she's the vice president. What can the vice president do? Keep in mind, she has said that Joe Biden is the most transformative, the best president of our generation. Actually, the greatest president of our generation. So if she believes that, and she's also said Bidenomics is working, so that means she supports everything he stands for. Okay. So just tell me in the chat, why are you voting for her? And also, why are you voting for Trump? And if you're voting for Kamala, don't say I'm voting for Kamala because she's not Trump. That doesn't make any sense, okay? Don't be all emotional and all in your feelings. Just say precisely why you're voting for each, okay?
And on the president before him and the president after him, somehow Russia keeps on invading their neighbors. It's because they don't respect American leadership and because our leaders aren't smart. So what Donald Trump brings back is not just strength, but intelligence to the Oval Office. And I think that's really all you need to end this war. Because look, it is not in America's interest. It's not in Ukraine's interest. It's not in Europe's interest for this war
Shout
to
out
go
to
on indefinitely.
CC
Now,
Michelle.
you
You know what time it is,
Zelensky
Sissy.
criticized something I said. First of all, that's not a plan. That's me talking about one possible scenario for how this thing might ultimately end. But look, I don't appreciate Zelensky coming to this country and telling the American taxpayers what they ought to do. He ought to say thank you to the American taxpayers. But look, this is very important. I think the American people are looking, and remember when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris ran, what they promised was a return to normalcy. And think about this. Think about, we've got a conflict right now, a war that would have never happened in the Middle East that threatens to become a regional war. We've got a war in Europe that wasn't happening under Donald Trump's leadership. We've got the threat of war about to break out in East Asia between China and Taiwan. The entire world is a tinderbox, and Kamala Harris, I really believe, is the match. Because weakness invites conflict. Donald Trump believes in peace through strength and peace through smart diplomacy, and that's what he's going to bring back to the White House. Let's do one more question because I'm having some fun, and then I'll leave you with some final words, and then we'll have to get out of here.
Thank you for doing this, Senator.
He's back there.
Thank you for doing this, Senator. My question for you is, Trump says it's too late to debate because voting has already started and it's bad for America. You're set to debate Walz on Tuesday. Does that mean your debate is bad for America?
Well, look. Look, first of all, the president already did a debate, and I thought he did a hell of a job. How did you guys think he did? It's funny. All these pundits after the debate, you know, you turn on the TV, which again I don't recommend watching CNN, but if you do, they turn on the TV and they say, well, you know, clearly she got some good shots in, blah 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 blah, and then you listen to the undecided voters who watch the debate. And it's like the majority of them are voting for Donald Trump afterwards. Well, if the majority of undecided voters are voting for one guy, I'd say that guy won the debate. And here's the thing. This is why Kamala Harris is desperate to do this again, because she knows that she's losing. And when you're running a losing campaign, you throw everything against the wall, and that's exactly what Kamala Harris is doing. Now, we have to remember that months ago, Donald Trump offered multiple debates, and the Democrats said no. The Democrats said, no, we don't want to do all these debates. And now that they're losing, they want to change the deal. Well, too bad. You should have made that decision 3 months ago, not now that you're running a losing campaign.
And we're not going to debate that because we know it's true. Donald Trump said September 4, let's do a debate on Fox. September 10, let's do ABC. And sometimes around September, I think it was September 20-something, I don't know, MSNBC or CBS or something like that. And nobody agreed to anything. And she was like, well, we are going to agree on September 10. So now you want more debate. That's what I'm saying. Like, I told you guys, she didn't do enough during the debate. Y'all were like, oh, she worked him down. No, go watch the debate again. You would realize that she never answered a lot of questions. For someone like her, that people are actually saying, well, the economy is here because of you, and then you're not going to answer questions. People already know who Trump is. People already experienced the economy under Trump. So nobody was asking too many questions. Like, they already know what he's capable of. Man, double tap your screen and subscribe.
But look, I think the more important point here, the more important point for the American people is Donald Trump is getting out there every single day. I'm getting out there every single day, and we're doing what a president and vice president ought to do. We're trying to earn the trust and the vote of the American people. I think I think the American media ought to be much more interested in why Kamala Harris is running from every single interview when Donald Trump is getting out there and he's talking to the American people every single opportunity that he gets. And I think the president has figured out that the American people is to do it directly, to do what we're doing here, to talk to you guys directly, because putting this filter and putting a teleprompter between you and the American people, that's how Kamala Harris is going to run her campaign. Donald Trump is going to run his campaign on ideas. He's going to run his campaign on making this country great again because he already did it once, and he's going to do it again if the American people give him that opportunity. So I want to leave you with just a couple of thoughts here because, look, it's so much fun to be here, and I've loved spending some time with you, but we've also got some work to do. And the president does this at every rally, and I think it's such an important message, and I'm going to try to impart it to you all. We've got to get out there and work. And I got a very specific request for you. It's that I want you to get out there, and I want you to vote 10 times. Now, the headline on CNN tomorrow will be Senator Vance encourages voter fraud in Michigan. That's what they'll say. But here's how you get out there and vote legally 10 times, is you take yourself to the polls and you get 9 of your friends and family to go along with you. That's what I want every single person to do. Now, one thing, let me just give you a little bit of the nitty-gritty on politics, is when we think about how we're going to win this race, it really is simple. We just need to get our people who already plan to vote for us, we need to make sure they actually get out there and vote. But here's the thing. Things sometimes come up if you wait until Election Day. And look, I'm a firm believer that we ought to have Election Day instead of election season, but it is what it is, my friends. We've got election season. It is here, at least for now, and so we've got to play by the rules, and we got to play to win. So here, you talk to 100 Democrats, and you talk to 100 Republicans. Let's say you talk to, because we're getting a lot of Democrats too. Say you talk to 100 people who plan to vote for Trump and 100 people who plan to vote for the other guy. 98 or 99 of the other guy's people will show up, whereas for us, sometimes it'll be 95, 96. Now, in a close election, that is the difference between Donald Trump being the president or Kamala Harris being the president. And so we got to figure out how to get
people who don't have businesses, people who haven't started any venture in their lifetime, say Trump doesn't know anything about businesses. He doesn't know anything about businesses. He filed for bankruptcy. What are you saying? To even be successful in business, you have to fail. Failure is part of success. Like, hello? Isn't that like common knowledge? Isn't that common knowledge that you have to fail to be successful? Is that hard to actually figure out? Someone said he fails. Oh, he failed every time. He failed every time. Oh, do you mean like the former president of the United States, bro? He failed to become the United States president? Do you know how many Trump tower is in the United States, bro? This man has been a billionaire since the 80s. This man was known to be the definition of the American dream. Oprah, every Democrat, every rapper to say this man's name. They wanted this man in their movies. Whoopi Goldberg casted Donald Trump for a movie and he mentioned it on The View. He did it for free and she said nothing. And now he is the bad guy.
every single person that plans to vote for our side to get out there and vote. Now, we all know what happens if you wait till Election Day. Some people, I've heard stories of, well, I plan to vote on Election Day, but then the school nurse called, my kid threw up at school, and I had to go pick him up and take him to the doctor. Or something came up with my mom and I had to go help her. Or maybe I planned to go to the polls right around 6:30, but I had to stay to work until 8 o'clock and didn't get a chance to make it there before things closed. The way that we're going to win this election is to bank every single vote. So don't just get out there and vote. Get out there and vote as soon as you possibly can. And there's a website. I want to read off it just because I want to screw this website up. swampthevote.com. You can check your registration, you can check where your polling location is, and you can get involved in our grassroots effort to elect Donald Trump the next president of the United States. Because here's the thing that I think the media always misses this about the Donald Trump movement and everything that we're trying to do is, look, we are very, very frustrated by the leadership of this country. But every single person in this room is a patriot. We love the United States of America, and we think it's the greatest country in the entire world. And that's right. But here's the thing. We've got, and I wish I could take every.
Someone just said, can this Asian guy vote for Trump? Actually, this guy would be voting for Trump. You sad now, bro? I'm voting for Trump.
Single one of you, and give you the perspective that I've gotten running for vice president the last 7 weeks. It's other than marrying this beautiful woman here and being a father to our 3 kids, the greatest honor of my life has been to run to be your next vice president of the United States. It's an unbelievable thing. I really. Look, I've been to look at the 7 battleground states: Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and of course, Wisconsin. And I've been to these 7 states so many times, and all I can think about when I go to a new place or a place, I've never been to Traverse City, this area before, and you come and all you can think is, this is the
No comment, bro.
most beautiful country in the history of the world. I really do believe that it is. We have got the best natural resources anywhere in the world. I mean, oil and gas and minerals the Russians and Chinese would literally kill for, we've got right here in our own country. Speaking of natural resources, the best natural resource of all is our people. And I believe we have got the best people anywhere in the world. The only thing I think that is broken about the United States of America is our failed leadership. The only thing that's broken about the United States of America is that Kamala Harris is calling the shots. And you know how we're going to change that? It's not by relying on the press. It's not by relying on anybody but ourselves. So let's get out there. Let's work our tail ends off.
Shout out to everybody watching the live show. You know what time it is. Thank you. And this is the thing, like most people, especially the dams, most times the only thing they have is insult. They can only insult you. They can only try to get you, all riled up because they think they're talking to children who don't pay bills. I pay bills, bro. I got a family that depends on me. Okay, I got a 4-year-old daughter that actually calls me daddy, that looks at me like I am Superman. Okay. That makes beautiful things like this for me. Happy Father's Day. So I have a family that loves me, bro. I don't care about your rhetoric on here. You think I care about what you say on here, bro? You think I care about what you say on here, bro? You are on my page with your 2, 3, 4 subscribers on my page listening to me, and then you want to call me illiterate, illegal, or stuff like that. You think I care about you, bro? Children. Children. Okay. Thank you for tuning in one more time. All right, here we go. So Melania also she had an interview with Fox. So we're gonna listen to that right now. Here we go. Let's get it.
All right, a Fox News exclusive, Melania Trump is setting the record straight ahead of the release of her new memoir called Melania.
She gives us an inside look at her personal life, from her relationship with the former president to the devastating loss of her mother earlier this year.
We were able to sit down with the former First Lady for this exclusive sneak peek before her new book hits shelves next month. Take a look. You said in the book, you said sometimes in order to succeed, you must be willing to take risks. How did the risks early on as a model prepare you for life as the First Lady?
I think nothing prepared me more to be First Lady in front of the world than the fashion industry. The fashion industry, it's glamorous, but it's at the same time very tough. And as everybody judges you, look at you a certain way. So it's it can be mean world as well. So nothing prepared me more for this world than fashion. It gives you a thick skin.
So it was August 27th, 1996, and you had this modeling contract. You have 2 suitcases, a carry-on, and a passport. That is all you brought with you to America.
And my portfolio.
And your portfolio.
That was very important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You need to find a job. So 10 years, and you hit the ground running. You didn't even go to your apartment. You immediately went to work.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, when I arrived to New York City, I still remember it was Tuesday afternoon, early afternoon. I went directly from the airport to the agency. So I start right away. You sign the contract, they copy your portfolio, and you start. So it was an exciting time.
So 10 years later, after arriving here, you find yourself raising your right hand and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and becoming an American citizen. You had no idea at that moment you would go on to become the First Lady of the United States of America. What did that day, becoming a citizen, mean to you?
I was very proud. I went through the process, and that day was a big celebration. I was very, very proud.
So meeting Donald Trump, how did you meet him?
We met at a party, and you could read a whole chapter in the book.
Yes, you were at the Kit Kat Club, and
Yes.
there was that moment of connection. And then you refused to give him your number, and you asked for his number, and you went on a modeling shoot in the Caribbean. And while you're down there, you couldn't stop thinking about him. And so you came home.
Man, that might be
and you
partying,
called
bro.
him. What
He be
happened?
partying. He met her at a party.
We went to on the first date, if you could call it a date.
Because it was mixed with professionalism too.
Correct,
right?
and I completely understand now that I know him more.
Yes.
It was so him. And I liked in one way about it because I was the same, and I love the vision that he had and the connection that we had, so it was very special.
You get in the car and he drives you to Bedford, and outside of the city, an hour outside of the city, and he wanted to show you a business or some property that he had.
Mm-hmm.
So he was combining business with taking you on a first date.
And it was very nice because we were 2 of us alone in the car for hour and a half, and it's no other noise, no other people, because at that time he was already known and a celebrity. So it was really nice to.
This is the thing. You have to get with the person that actually understands you. Don't be in a relationship with someone who doesn't understand you or what you do or the kind of person you are. And most people say, well, Melania doesn't love him. That's cap, bro. Listen to her. She gets him. She understands what he is about. That's all that matters, bro. Let these people enjoy their lives.
To be just 2 of us.
Yes. Did you fall in love then?
It was a connection. It was a connection.
You said our chemistry was undeniable. Our connection felt natural. In private, he revealed himself as a gentleman, displaying tenderness and thoughtfulness. Did he ever say to you in those early stages, or even in that first car ride, I'm going to be president one day?
No, we didn't discuss. That time not.
Did he tell you
But
eventually?
soon-
Did you know
But soon
politics?
later,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes, soon later. So not that he would be the president, but he always was involved in politics. He was very in tune what's going on in the world, and especially in this country.
6 years into the relationship, it's April of 2004, and he proposes to you.
Well, it was, first of all, it was my birthday as well, and it was a Met Gala. So it was all in one. We were all ready at home, both of us in black
Very
tie.
in tune.
So he proposed that time.
Describe your wedding day. It was January 22nd, 2005. It was almost a year after you were engaged, and you got married at Bethesda by the Sea, beautiful church down in Palm Beach, and then the reception at Mar-a-Lago. What was that day like for you and your family and your mom?
It was an exciting day. A busy day. As every bride, you want to make sure everything goes smoothly. And it went. We had a good day.
I'm sure. There was a touching story in the book about the baptism candle. Your mom brought this over from Slovenia. It was the candle that was lit in the church when you were baptized. You lit it at your wedding, and then you lit it again when Barron was baptized. And you still have it, I assume.
I still have it. Interesting, I was baptized on Donald's birthday.
Really?
June 14.
Wow.
The dates connects.
Yes.
So my mother, she thought about it and she brought it here to the United States.
And you say in the book about becoming a mother, you said, I stepped back from public life, no longer wanted the glamorous photo shoots and the jet-setting lifestyle, and my career took a back seat. Was that a hard change for you?
It was not.
No, why?
Because I had a different purpose in life.
Best day of your life when they put the baby in your arms?
Something changes.
Yes.
Yeah, something changes.
There's a picture in the book, and you're working at the desk, and you have Barron in one of those small little motorized cars. Books, his children's books are all over the floor. You have your papers all over the desk. And I looked at that picture and I said, this is a working mom's life. We can all relate to this. Everything's chaotic, everything's hectic, but it's so much fun. And everyone tells us to enjoy those moments because they're fleeting. And your kids grow up and it just flies by. When you look at that picture, what was happening in that moment?
When I see it, that was the time that I did QVC collection, my jewelry
Which
and
sold out in
timepieces.
45 minutes.
It did, yes, was very successful. So I was doing all at the same time, working, playing with Barron. He has his own time with, his car and his books, and we talking. So I think it's very important that we show our children that we are working too, to give them an example how life is, that they see us, that we are productive, that we have ideas, that ideas comes to life. And that's how I was showing to Barron.
And did you and Donald Trump, did you ever talk about having more children? Did you want a larger family?
I was always perfectly fine with one. And Donald was encouraging to have more. And I said, I'm completely fine with one because it's very busy life. And I know how busy he is, and I'm in charge of everything. So that's why it's just perfect.
So Donald was on Brian Kilmeade's show last weekend, and Brian was asking him about your relationship, and he said, Brian, she really, really does love me. So what do you love most about your husband?
His being,
I got one daughter too, man.
humor, his personality, his kindness,
a commitment.
He's very special. His positivity, his energy, it's unbelievable. So we have a beautiful relationship.
We see these clips of Donald Trump giving a lady at the cash register $100 to pay for her groceries. The little boy with a rare disease, he invites him to.
Is this enough for you all that are doubting the love a wife has for her husband. Is this enough? You just want to know. Has she said enough to convince you that she actually loves her husband? Damn, I'll be going wild.
The rally in New York, and the little boy cries when he receives a letter on his birthday from Donald Trump. Donald Trump calls all the service members, their family members, when they lose their lives. These are stories that a lot of people, you're not going to see this on other networks. Is that the man he is?
That's the man he is, yes.
One word to describe him, what would that be? One or two words?
Caring especially for this kind of different musics.
I hear he likes to be the DJ.
He likes to be the DJ, and it's very, especially for this country.
And what do the two of you like to do for fun, if you're not working?
To have dinner, sometimes quiet dinner or dinner with friends, and listen to the music, all kind of different musics.
I hear he likes to be the DJ.
He likes to be the DJ, and it's very
Tune into the live show. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel.
When you married Donald Trump, he already had 4 children, and you talk about that in the book, and it would seem so fun to have just so much life and children around you. You said, I gave everyone their own space, grounded in love and respect. You didn't always agree, but acknowledged differing viewpoints. So what advice do you have for blended families?
To take individual as they are. You cannot control anyone. You could control only your own behavior, your own words. Everybody is in control of own self. I'm not in control of my husband. I'm not in control of his children. I'm not even in control of my child.
Facts.
He's his own person.
Facts.
And we all have yes and no's, and we are all individual.
Facts.
Once you lead your life with respect and love, that's all what it matters.
Barron now, he's so handsome, and we've enjoyed watching him grow up. I'm very proud of you for keeping his life private. I think that's important. Barron's now in college. What was that like for you? What's advice? What advice can you give all of us who are a little nervous about that day because we just love our children so much? What's it like being an empty nester?
I could not say I'm an empty nester. I don't feel that way. I raised Barron as our own person and gave him his own yes and no's. I respect that. It was his decision to come here, that he wants to be in New York and study in New York and live in his home, and I respect that. And he's an incredible young man. I'm very proud of what he grew up to. His strength, his intelligence, his knowledge, his kindness, it's admirable. And he's enjoying his college.
Man, that boy like 7 feet tall, bro. That man is like 7 feet tall, bro. You better be ready. Yo. I think it's in NYU, right? The future definitely looks bright for the United States. The future looks bright. That's it, man. You got to take care of your family. Be there for your kids. Fathers, be there for your kids. Okay? Don't be leaving the home and thinking the mom is just going to be taking care of the kids. Fathers, you better be there for your children. Now, double tap your screen and subscribe and go take care of your kids.
Days. I hope he will have a great experience because his life is very different than any other 18, 19-year-old child.
I was moved to tears in your book when I read about the loss of your mother, and you said this about her loss. There is an unparalleled sorrow in losing a mother, a profound heartache that shatters the spirit into fragments. For me, this heartache feels insurmountable, and the weight of grief is overwhelming. It does feel insurmountable sometimes, and let me be strong, but how do we, What advice do you have? Because I remember when my mom lost my grandmother, it was devastating, and it really separated her from God for a while. She came back to God. She just had a lot of questions because she felt like he took someone that was so special to her away from all of us. But it made my faith stronger. But what advice do you have for people that are going through this to lose a parent?
Well, it's a very a moment that nobody prepares you. And it's a grief that comes in waves, and you need to feel it. You need to have that inner peace that to go with it, to feel it, to experience it. And first of all, I want to thank all of the people around the world who sent beautiful letters, beautiful prayers, very kind notes. Thank you to everybody who wrote me, who thought about me and my family, and was really deeply appreciated.
Yes, and I know she.
Okay, talking about parent, my dad passed away a long time ago, probably like 10 years ago. I never grew up with my dad, so, I was brought up by a single mom. I had to go figure out how to be a man and, take charge, lead, provide, protect, because those things, my mom taught me, she taught me a lot of stuff, but there's some things that you would have to go learn as a man. If you grew up with your mom, just your mom, there are some things that you would have to go learn as a man on your own that your mom cannot. It's just what it is. Okay, I'm not here to bash anybody. Okay, I just believe that fathers and mothers should be in the home, not just fathers, not just moms. It should come in twos. Fathers and mom take care of a child so that child can grow up healthy. Okay, that's what I think.
She lives on in Barron. I remember at her funeral, Donald Trump talked about how your mom would cook for him, and that's probably why Barron is so tall.
She was a very special woman, full of warmth, kindness, and also strength. Her life was incredible in Slovenia. She established a life for myself and for my sister. Incredible life, also my father, but her strength was admirable. And once Baron was born, he was her focus. She moved here.
And this is another thing, right? People say the 45th, the OG Donald J. Trump does not, he doesn't like immigrant. Yet his parents were immigrant. Yet his wife, listen to her accent, bro. He is an immigrant. What are you saying this man doesn't like immigrant? Isn't that just crap? What are you saying this man doesn't like immigrant? He doesn't like illegal. Keyword. Illegal immigrant, bro.
To United States to be close to him and to raise him in one way. It's almost like she was a second mother, especially because of my schedule in the White House and being so busy. And they had an incredible bond. Her and Baron, it was a relationship like no other.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley.
Thank you for tuning into the live show. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. All right. Who we got right
Both presidential candidates seem to be tripping over each other when it comes to offering economic breaks and incentives to businesses and tax cuts to individuals and some corporations. They both even include a good deal of tariffs in their economic plans. The argument with Kamala Harris, and she argues, is that hers are fewer and not as devastating as the president's. Mark Cuban agrees with her, the billionaire businessman joining us right now. Mark, you argue that, and it's always good to have you, you argue that Donald Trump's are particularly, I think you used the word insane. What did you mean by that?
Yep. Well, first of all, strategic tariffs aren't bad. So if a company's trying to dump, or a country's trying to dump in the United States and we have a manufacturer there, tariff him, that's great. But across the board tariffs, 10 or 20% is just inflationary. It's a tax on the American consumer. But to make matters even worse, and what's truly insane, when you threaten a legendary company like John Deere with a 200% tariff if they move, but only a 10 or 20% tariff on China, what you're doing is you're making it easy for the Chinese competitors to take business away from John Deere. That is the definition of insane.
A lot of your business colleagues say the definition of insane is supporting Kamala Harris, yet you do. You're a smart, savvy businessman. You came from nothing to be a multi-billionaire, so you're pretty good at what you do. What do you see in her that you don't see in Donald Trump?
I think she's thorough. If you look at Donald, right, when he talks about his policies, they're very impetuous, they're impulsive, they're set to match whatever's happening at a rally. Whereas with the Harris campaign and Kamala herself, she's very, very thorough. She's very precise. Her team really vets every idea. And to me, that's important as a business person because you can trust what she says. Think about what happens when Donald comes out and says, I'm going to put a 10% cap on credit card interest rates. The next thing that happens isn't that he explains why, it's that everybody around him explains what he says. He can't explain it for himself. Everybody's got to explain for him. Or whether it's a 10 or 20 or 60% tariff, or the 200% on John Deere. With Kamala Harris, no one has to explain for her. She takes the time to vet her policies thoroughly. And when she says them and presents them, they are what they are. They're self-explanatory.
But she doesn't talk to a lot of journalists. She doesn't talk to a lot of people.
You know that's cap.
Maybe she has
I like
a lot
Mark
of
Cuban,
people
but you
wonder
know
if
that's
she's up to
cap,
the
bro.
job. Donald Trump himself has said, if she gets in and has her way, the markets are going to tank. What do you say?
No, obviously he's wrong. I mean, Neil, you know as a business person, you have to follow the results. Kamala Harris went from having a negative favorability rating, negative recognition. Even Donald Trump says, what's this lady's name? Harris, whatever, to here she is effectively tied. So from a business perspective, if you're able to in 45 days go from being way behind to ahead or tied at worst, that's a huge accomplishment. That means you're doing something right and you should do more of it. On the flip side, Donald Trump was way ahead. It was inconceivable that he could even potentially lose this election given everything that's happened. And he's just squandered that entire lead. The problem
well, you're
is
right.
on
It's
his
changed.
side,
The polls are
not
even.
on
Could I
Vice
ask you,
President
Mark,
Trump.
whether you would entertain being a Treasury Secretary, Commerce Secretary in a Harris
Head of the
administration?
SEC. Head of the SEC. That's the job I would take. Maybe HHS, but somebody needs to replace Gary Gensler. You might have heard her today talking about really pushing hard to support and advance technologies like AI, not the AI like Donald calls it, but
replace the head
AI,
of the
but
SEC,
also
the Securities and
blockchain.
Exchange Commission, because he's not a good cop for the securities industry. Bottom line, right?
No, it's awful. Yeah, bottom line, he's awful, particularly for crypto and for businesses in general. We've seen the number of public companies just be decimated.
All right. Mark, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey,
Oh, I see where Mark is going. Mark, you could have just said that from the get-go, bro. You could have just said, this is why I'm saying all what I'm saying. Everybody's trying to love you for a job at this point. Everybody's trying to love you for a job. Nobody really cares about the grocery prices. Nobody really cares about all them, like we struggling month to month. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that. Everybody's just trying to get a job. Everybody trying to get a job. This is just wild. Okay, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the best. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for double tapping your screen. What is going on with the mayor of New York, Eric Adams? Do you guys know anything about that? What is going on with the mayor of New York, Eric Adams? Is the same thing. What is going on with North Carolina? What is going on? It's getting spicy over there, y'all. Let's go see what they're talking about. Because this is way too spicy, man. Election period is just too spicy. Dear Lord. Dear Lord. All right, let's go.
This is someone, for context, not only the mayor of, New York City, this incredible institution of a city when it comes to this country, but also someone who just a couple years ago when he was elected was being touted. He touted himself as the future of the Democratic Party. He was presenting himself as the person who best represented the path forward for the Democratic Party. He is now being indicted
And he was a
for
police
what
officer.
sounds like public corruption. And he was a police
officer. And I think the most striking thing to me is if you just look at his childhood and his background. You know, he had skirmishes with the law when he grew up in a single-parent family, and then he ended up being able to rehabilitate himself and became a police officer and rose to the ranks of becoming the mayor of the biggest city in the United States. But to hear these types of allegations potentially and charges, it doesn't sound like it's a one-off. The other thing I had heard was that potentially they were bundling campaign funds together and then they were reimbursing people for those funds, which is, I guess, a violation of campaign fundraising. So earlier today, AOC called for his resignation, and I was wondering if that had something to do with anything or if she had prior knowledge, but it's just very sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the circumstances were starting to collapse on Eric Adams. It is a question now of what happens next. Does he resign? Does he get pushed out by the governor, Kathy Hochul? What happens now? Because the pressure is mounting.
Yeah, well, right now, I think the question of who's running New York City is a legitimate one. And for Eric Adams, I mean, if you've been following this, I don't think anyone is surprised that it has come to this point. And, you know, he's been very arrogant throughout all of this, knowing that these things have been swirling around, right? Self-pride comes before a fall. And I think this is a perfect example of that in politics with Eric Adams. And it is a shame because he does have a great American story, as Gretchen mentioned, of overcoming his childhood and to become the mayor of the greatest city in the world, in my opinion. And but you can't do this with corruption. And the Southern District of New York would not have made a move like this unless they were pretty rock solid on the evidence that they had. And once your phones are seized by the feds, that's never a good sign. And so we all know that that had happened. And the fact that it's coming from multiple fronts is also highly problematic. I don't see how he stays. But then again, in the era of Donald Trump, where you deny, I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to stay and it puts the governor of New York in a situation. What does she do then?
And there were some interesting parallels in his statement that he put out about the government.
What does Trump have to do with this now? This is the thing, bro. What does Trump have to do with this? Now they're going to bring Trump in. They're going to bring Trump into everything in the era of Trump. You guys, man, double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel, man.
After him, I think it paralleled a lot of what President Trump has talked about
he said,
with the government coming
I always
after
knew
him.
that if
Cases.
he said, I always knew if I stood my ground for New Yorkers that I would be a target, and a target I became.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see, obviously, what comes out tomorrow when they unseal the indictment, and of course, whether he does ultimately resign, because sources close to Kathy Hochul are saying that they aren't going to push her out from the state level. So we'll see what happens. I think he resigns, but remains to be seen.
Or if he
as
goes
Tara
to
said.
jail. Or if he has bail. I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen to him.
I mean, is it a mistake for him to sort of like nod to some kind of conspiracy? Because one of the things that John Miller kind of pointed out, if you're listening closely to what he said, is that all of these other kind of mini scandals that are unfolding in the Eric Adams administration, they are being investigated by all these different authorities. They're coming at it from all sides. The idea that that is some kind of grand conspiracy, well, I would like to see that wizard. That would be an incredibly powerful wizard.
Same wizard that Mark Robinson apparently visited him as well.
Apparently.
Listen, it's pretty jarring, hearing this tonight. I grew up in New York. You sort of idolize New York as sort of the image that you want of America. More facts are going to come out tomorrow, but Adams has a difficult path ahead of him. I mean, the calls for resignation are going to be overwhelming, and if he chooses to fight, he chooses to fight. I think people choose to fight all the time. I remember during the Clinton era, he chose to fight an impeachment. It wasn't a criminal charge, but the line has been set. If you fight, you line up your allies and you move forward. I suspect that's what Adams, if he makes that decision, that's how it's set up.
And he should be careful because now he's going to be a criminal defendant who's going to be indicted in federal court in the Southern District. And he's, making all these sort of campaign slogan-y statements. I'm going to fight for the people of New York, and I'm going to continue to fight, and it's almost like he's a victim here. But you don't get a federal indictment for nothing. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not saying he's guilty of anything. We haven't seen the indictment. It's all allegations. But like you said earlier, Abby, I mean, the federal prosecutors and the FBI don't investigate cases and then throw them together, out like a matchbook, putting, this is serious. There's so many moving pieces here and so many members of this administration who've had their cell phones seized. All the conversations and the data and the text messaging in these cell phones and the emails, it's all put together into a storyline of what allegedly happened here. And it's going to be very incriminating. And for Mayor Adams to already, his statement tonight before we even knew about this indictment, it came maybe an hour or two ago, was, I'm the second black mayor of New York City and they're just targeting me. Yeah. How is that relevant when he knows he came out of an event last year with his aides? His SUV was waiting to take him back, and the FBI said, Mayor, get into the van. And they made everyone wait outside, and the FBI went into a van with the mayor of New York City and had a discussion about taking his cell phones from him.
I remember that.
Surreal.
It is surreal.
This is wild. This is wild, bro. This is just wild.
We've got breaking news this morning. New York City Mayor Eric Adams indicted on federal corruption charges. Details about those charges still under seal, but they could be made public as soon as this morning. Mayor Adams says he is innocent and will fight any charges against him.